Did you know using your browser in incognito mode doesn't actually protect your privacy? Take back your privacy with IPVanish VPN. Just one tap and all your data, passwords, communications, browsing history, and more will be instantly protected. IPVanish makes you virtually invisible online. Use IPVanish on all your devices, anytime you go online at home and especially on public Wi-Fi. Get IPVanish now for 70% off a yearly plan with this exclusive offer at ipvanish.com/audio.
Robots Radio. Games, lore, stories, community. Just press play. Welcome to the Fallout Lorecast, the podcast that explores the boundaries of our knowledge about the world of Fallout. Vault Dwellers and Wastelanders, welcome back to the Fallout Lorecast. This is your host, Tom, or Robots, and I'm here with a bunch of patrons. We have a big full house this week, and we are going back to a topic that we covered, I think it's been maybe 2 years now, 2 to 3 years ago, with patrons before, but as this show goes on and develops, we get new patrons who join on. Some of the patrons stick around, some of them move on and do other things. But we have a very different cast of characters here with us today to talk about the topic. So we are revisiting the question for each of you about where you would like to see future Fallout games go, which locations and why. And the last time we talked about this, we had some really fun locations come up, all sorts of different places. And I'm very interested to see what you all bring to the conversation. And maybe you're going to mention some new places. Maybe you're going to mention some other locations that have come up a few other times, but share some different perspectives on them. So we're going to have to dig into that. But we have a very large cast of people. I'm going to mention each of your names as we are in the discussions. I'll be calling you out. So in order to welcome all of you at the same time, get ready to unmute and make the sound of what your location sounds like. When on the count of three. Here we go. Get ready to unmute. 1, 2, 3, go.
Caw.
Whoosh.
I don't know how to make bagpipe noises.
Bagpipe noises. Oh, caw whoosh. Maybe bagpipe noises. Awesome. That went stunningly well. Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be a fun episode. I'm jazzed about these conversations are always fun because one of the things I've learned over the years is that as much as I can be creative and think about where things might go or kind of tie some things together and project, okay, maybe this is something they've hinted at before. All of you bring a level of dynamic, interesting detail to this that I can't come up with myself. And I'm generally surprised and very interested to see what you come up with. So who would like to kick us off? Who has a idea that they would like to share for the location? Lil Green's starting us off. Welcome back to the show, Lil Green.
Thank you. Happy to be here as always. So if I remember right, the first time I talked about this, I said my lovely home state of New Jersey. But honestly, New Orleans. I would love to see New Orleans.
Yeah, that was, I believe that was one that came up in the past, and there were some really cool ideas around New Orleans. And yeah, it's one I've seen out in, like, you know, the Twitter sphere, or X, whatever that is anymore, on social media places. So why New Orleans?
The culture. I feel like because we it seems like the games do try and like dig a little bit into like the cultural like surroundings of like an area, like whether it's Boston, West Virginia, New Vegas. I want to see what like the Fallout world of New Orleans is. Just like what is different, what stays the same, and just what creatures are going to come out of that.
So you like,
as well.
We're talking like bayou, swampy creatures.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And just like, you know, how would Bethesda treat the New Orleans area?
So my first thought, and we can open this up to everybody else, unless you have something else you want to add in, Lil.
No, I'm good. Everyone else could hop in.
So my first thought about New Orleans is the music. And that is a direct tie-in to a lot of the music that we already have in the Fallout games, because we have this like early to mid 20th century music influence, and a lot of that stuff. In fact, some of those cuts go way back to the 1920s, 1930s. And when you're in the 20s and 30s, you're thinking like hot jazz, Dixieland, swing, early swing, like stuff like that, that a lot of the roots for that music is from New Orleans.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that would be a hotbed for, like, can you imagine like a jazz DJ talking like old slang from New Orleans?
I mean, it's nice, cool. Like when you do like play out through 76, you can like get a bunch of people together and do like all the instruments that are just kind of scattered about, and just like hear like the music, but like the soul of that would be so much different. I feel like when you're in like the New Orleans, like walking down like Bourbon Street or something like that, like popping off mole rats or ghouls.
I would imagine even a parade. Like they would have to have some sort of storyline with a parade that marches down the street.
Mardi Gras parade.
Yeah, like a Mardi Gras parade. But like maybe they're using it as a way to like lure out a bunch of the, I don't know, the ghouls or something, feral ghouls, in order to kill them or, scare the death claws away. I don't know.
So I love that idea. I've actually thought about trying to do a tabletop version of that. I know I say that, but then I go and look at Rad Rolls, and Rad Rolls is doing that right now.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and Dave Chafin's
if you want a good example, Rad Rolls is a great example for a New Orleans Fallout.
Yes, you're right. I mean, that's absolutely true. Dave Chafin's, who I do the Starfield Lorecast with, and he's been on the show a few times, and we used to do the Fallout Hub show together. They have a show called Rad Rolls where they're doing New Orleans. I mean, when you're talking Americana, like this is one of the things that Fallout really, really focuses in on is Americana. New Orleans is a big part of that.
Oh, majorly. Like I would love to see, like, if with certain things, like you said, like a parade, like imagine having like a float that's just weaponized and all that. I would love to see that sort of thing.
Yeah. Like it's still part of the culture. Like the people there still celebrate every year. And
I mean, it would also give a good reason to bring back gator claws.
Absolutely. Yeah. Gator claws for sure. All right. Who else has any thoughts about New Orleans? Any other perspectives on this?
The infrastructure is terrible around here as it is. So I can only imagine what it looks like after a Holocaust.
So you say from here, you're from New Orleans?
I'm about an hour away from New Orleans.
Okay.
But yes.
So you're familiar with the area.
Yes.
So in your mind, what does a post-apocalyptic New Orleans look like?
Oh.
Is it underwater? Is it part underwater?
I mean, it's already part underwater.
Is it more underwater?
I can only imagine that it's just a giant bowl.
It's just a giant bowl. Everybody's on, like, some of the map places you can go where like there's buildings that are part submerged and you're kind of on top of them. Yeah.
It's a lot of seeing how a lot of New Orleans culture is based around like ferries and rafts and pirogues. Then I'd see a lot of floating civilizations.
Mm-hmm. A lot more water creatures potentially. I could see that. Betty, you had something you wanted to say. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to extend on the music topic too, because there's a lot of like Delta blues that way too. I feel like it originated in that area, or in general. And then I feel like it's a really superstitious, supernatural kind of space that there'd be like a lot of graveyards, and it'd be kind of an extension of some of that stuff from like Point Lookout with like the hanging dolls and that sort of thing. So
yeah, kind of a voodoo aesthetic kind of thing going on. Yeah. Yeah.
I would say NOLA as well, but that's okay.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, Lil Green, this was a good choice. I think this was one of my favorite ones from a previous point, and I think a lot of people resonate with this being a really cool location to do in a Fallout game. So thanks for kicking that off for us. Who would like to go next? What's the next location we're going to go visit? Maverick, is that your hand up in the air? Maverick's back, everybody. Welcome back, Maverick.
Yes, it is. Tis I, after a long hiatus off the Patron episode. But yeah.
So where are we going?
We are going to Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona. Ooh, another very interesting location that I have to wonder what it would be like after the bombs dropped.
Well, for once I've driven to Phoenix, Arizona. I've gone down I-15 through the mountains. It's basically another bowl. It's a big valley.
Yeah,
so
and it's
you
hot.
can't really get out. It's very hot. It'd probably be another New Vegas, to be honest.
Yeah, hot and dry, but almost to an even higher extreme. I mean, there are deserts, right? Like Nevada is mostly a desert. Las Vegas is in a desert, but there's something about that area which seems just even more arid somehow. Is that accurate?
Yeah. It's very accurate in the summer, at least. When I go through there, it seems like it's always the hottest days of the year. It seems like every time I go through.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just all the small little suburbs around Phoenix. It's not like Phoenix metro area that I was thinking, because there's a lot of alleyways, a lot of different stuff that they could use really for Fallout-esque like faction headquarters. Not there'd probably be more death claws since there's more lizards out in the desert. There's army bases out there. There's a ton of stuff out there that they could experiment with, to be honest.
Yeah, and even the way that the world itself would be almost dangerously too hot. The idea that like you would want to travel under the cover of night, or you would have to have enough hydration or the right kinds of gear to go out. You could have like a survival mode for Fallout 4, but like turned up to 11 potentially. Yeah. Okay. Phoenix, Arizona. Let's open this up. Who has any thoughts about Phoenix, Arizona? Who thinks that this would be a cool location?
I have some ideas for that.
Yeah, Nova, go ahead.
Well, I will say, first of all, Nevada, the Mojave Desert is going to be much drier and more arid than the Sonoran Desert. It's the driest place in North America. Just to settle that. It's
good to know.
After Atacama. But I will say that we do have a little bit of information about Phoenix from New Vegas, in that it was sacked by the Legion and made into obviously a slave camp. So depending on when the setting is, then it could be a Legion focused narrative again. Yeah,
or even like a post like end of the Legion, or like maybe,
or just as the beginning, maybe
the beginning, or maybe a slaves revolting or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but I like, there's a lot of potential. I just like with every single location, but there's a lot of potential with it, because I would like to think that that they would become more tribal, just like the people of New Vegas did. The people of Phoenix become more tribal and maybe revert back to the Native American style of architecture, where they build buildings into mountains, or they excavate places out of mountain. There are homes out of mountains, so that'd be a pretty cool aesthetic, I think. Yeah. Some of those places you can still visit today because there's the remnants of the people that used to live there. But yeah, that would be really cool. This idea that like people are actually living in the ground in ways that like it's easier to carve out more parts of a cave than it is to build something out of materials that you're lacking. Oh yeah, because there's like only cactus there. I don't think there's really many trees. Right. Yeah. Yes. So I would just imagine that a Fallout set in Phoenix, Arizona would be very, very tribal-esque. And so there would be like no actual setups like we think of in 4, 76 or 3 or anything else. It would just be like these people, like just a bunch of raiders, or just a bunch of very primitive tribals that are speaking a mixture of either creative languages or a hybrid of Spanish and English. Yeah, or maybe even some Native American tribes that have reemerged in the time because maybe they were better equipped at surviving than other people. Yeah, that could be really cool too. Yeah, so it'd kind of be like not Lonesome Roads, Honest Hearts in a way. Yeah, that would have that feeling to it. That'd be cool. I like that. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts on Phoenix, Arizona?
I agree. I like the thought of it being like it either being like a Legion territory, or like the NCR pushing the Legion further back, and it being like a mix of the two, like how they did for New Vegas.
Or even another faction getting involved from a different angle on a part of the map that we haven't been to yet. So, maybe there's like a Mexican faction that's been moving north.
I mean, Mexico was mentioned in New Vegas through Raul, so there is a good chance. But like, cool. I like the thought of like the beginning of Skyrim, but with NCR and Legion. So like, a Legion member looks up and goes, "Oh look, You're awake.
Nice. Yeah, like maybe you were a prisoner and you were part of one of the groups and the other group has you and you're going to try to cut your head off or something. And then, but instead you get shot in the head, but then Doc Mitchell puts you back together again for some reason. He's down in Phoenix. What? Yeah, that would be weird. All right. Any other thoughts on Phoenix? All right, we'll wrap that one up. Thank you for that one, Maverick. All right, who wants to go next? Next location to go visit. Who has an idea? They'd like to chime in.
I have one.
Go for it, Nova.
All right. So, I'm obviously biased because I have family there, but I was going to say Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, Nebraska. Okay, I don't know a whole lot about Omaha, Nebraska. So why Omaha?
Well, there's a lot of corn there, but that's not the main reason. So the reason why I think
it's a corn farming simulation.
Yes. That's the only reason I swear. No, reason being is because if you're familiar with the Air Force, then you would know what Offutt Air Force Base is. That was the home base for what is called Strategic Air Command, or was called Strategic Air Command during the Cold War. And that was Bomber Command, really. That was where, if we were going to launch the nukes, the order was going to come from Offutt Air Force Base. And so I would like to see really like how that evolved in the effects that it had during the Sino-American War, because I'd like to imagine, or at least I like to hope, that Offutt Air Force Base existed within the Fallen universe and it still contained the same strategic importance, because like in order of what was going to be struck most, it was first Washington D.C. obviously, and then Offutt Air Force Base. And I think this
nuke command. You want to nuke command so they can't nuke you back. Sure.
Yeah, and I think once the Soviet archives were finally dug into, it was like something in the neighborhood of 30 megatons of warheads were targeted at Omaha, Nebraska, which, just to put into context, what destroyed the city of Nagasaki was 20 kilotons. So this is 150. This is like 1,500 times the 1,500 times the megatonnage.
Right. So that raises a question: like, if it was nuked, which chances are it would have been. What's is this like when we go to the Capitol wastes? It is very, very much destroyed. There are very few buildings still standing. Right? Would this be a scenario very similar to that? Is that what you would expect, or would you have expected maybe there were some sort of countermeasures, the way that say Mr. House would have taken in order to preserve the location? Like maybe they were able to fend off the nuke somehow.
If DC didn't have countermeasures, I can imagine that Omaha, Nebraska, which is a fifth the size in population of DC itself, would have the countermeasures there.
But it is further inland, so they at least had a little bit more warning period.
And that's exactly why they chose Omaha, Nebraska, and or let's chose Offutt Air Force Base as SAC command. That's why they chose Whiteman here in Missouri as the main bomber base. But they would have more time. That's exactly what I wanted to get into. Was they would probably have a massive bunker complex underneath or spread throughout the entirety of Omaha, Nebraska, that probably would have saved, at the very least, the entire Offutt military contingent that wasn't in bombers, that didn't take off in bombers and fighters. So you could have easily weasel in the enclave in there and make it a very, very understandable reason as to why there's a massive enclave presence here in the Midwest. And we already do know that the Brotherhood of Steel was in Chicago, so you could easily bring them down here, as well as kind of like what we saw with the Pridwin, maybe just a scouting force on the recesses of the city, of the destroyed city. And so it could be another fight that way. Right.
Well, we also know that based on Fallout 76 lore, the Brotherhood made their way across the United States. Yes, so passing by a place like Omaha, Nebraska could very well be justified as maybe some of them dropped off on this location along the way.
It just makes sense doing that, especially since it's a major logistical hub.
Yeah. 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 This is a cool idea. I really like this idea. Also, it raises the question in my mind, if you have a large network of underground bunkers, then you have kind of like a Blackreach in a Fallout game. Blackreach being like the big underground location in Skyrim. How would you feel about that? Like a, oh my God, there's more here underground than what we can see on the top of the map.
I think that would greatly expand what you could put into the game, because then you could have some parts of the bunkers that are, or some parts of the complex that are completely collapsed. In fact, like maybe have for all we know, Voltec could have excavated a massive complex underneath the entirety of Omaha.
Yeah,
it's just for the people there, because it's inland. It's 600 feet above sea level. It's not going to flood or anything.
Right. What if it opens up the idea of like mega vaults?
Exactly.
Like maybe this is Mega Vault 001 or something, and all of a sudden we have like, no, this isn't just a regular vault. This is a mega vault, and it had a complete, like, that could blow the lore out in a totally different direction.
Yeah, or you could, instead of using a numerical system, you can use an alphabetical system instead, and so instead it opens up into a different wing as well. And so
Mega Vault O, and people are like, is that 0? But it's O for Omaha.
Yeah, just like Dr. O. That's clever. I like that.
That could totally work. Omaha. Yeah, people are like, oh wait, is this Vault 0? No, it's not Vault 0. It's Vault O.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so I really do like that idea. Gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, this is cool. Somebody needs to get on this. If anybody at Bethesda is listening and planning 10 years from now for the next Fallout game,
we need megavolts.
Megavolts. There you go. All right, let's open this up, because we got to get everybody in on this. Who likes this idea? Who wants to chime in with some other thoughts on Omaha, Nebraska?
I don't know why I came back and the first thing I heard was the O and 0, and it was just, my brain's like, wait, is this like a Dr. O, Dr. Zero from like Old World Blues?
Yeah, sort of.
I will agree. I do like the Omaha idea, but when you said like there was how many nukes were launched at it, and I was like, would it be like a Fallout Salt Lake City situation where it just doesn't exist anymore?
It's a giant crater.
It could be. Maybe the outside is extremely destroyed and irradiated, but most of the game takes place underground. Well, you could do something like that.
That could be too.
Could be a Fallout 1 scenario where it's placed in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is basically a crater at this point. Right.
So it's all the locations out and around it. And maybe the only thing in Omaha is the bunker underneath still, but you have these other external locations nearby.
Well, you have like it would mostly be targeting obviously Offutt Air Force Base, and so that area would mostly be completely destroyed. But I would imagine the suburbs would still mostly be intact.
Yeah, so you could have a variety of locations and different amounts of destruction throughout it. Yeah,
exactly.
That could totally work.
Just like, I think it's on the west side of Omaha is Offutt Air Force Base. I may be incorrect about that, but it's like this side over here is just destroyed. This side over here is somewhat livable. Just a lot of mutations and radiation and maybe FAV if they decide to bring that back again, which they definitely will.
Which they will. Like on the one episode I did of like, these are things will always be in Fallout games because Fallout games, like people like to come up with reasons why, well, it doesn't make sense for this stuff to be here anymore. But they forget that like this is a product and you have to market the product and you have to incorporate things that are part of the identity of the product. And if you take those things out, then people get upset. So those things are always going to be there, whether they make sense or not. They're just going to get shoehorned in, unless they go on some sort of real extreme side version of the game. But I think for mainline games, at least, that's the truth. Any other thoughts on Omaha? We've got so many more people to get to, so just want to make sure we cover everybody. This is a really cool idea, Nova.
Fallout 5, Corn Country.
Corn Country, making corn. All right, who wants to go next? Pumpkin King. You're up.
So I'm taking y'all to my home state. We're going to Missoula, Montana.
Missoula, Montana.
We're on Missoula, Montana, northward.
Okay.
So the reason why is it was mentioned in New Vegas. It was used for mining. Montana was used for mining, but up here we got mining, logging, just anything of that nature. But we've also got, you could incorporate fishing into the game.
Lots of open land for all sorts of stuff.
Massive open land. But one of my main reasons for picking Montana specifically is because Montana is also known for having some of the most silos in the United States, missile silos in the United States, which would be a prime target for bombs.
Right. Or for confiscating for technology, or for all sorts of reasons.
Which you could also put into Enclave just went into the silos and that whole thing. There's a lot of mechanics they could put in, like the house building that they put in Skyrim, or the
settlement system in Fallout 4.
The settlement system, yeah.
Sure.
Like I said, fishing. Up here, I think would be funny is making something I came up with for a tabletop is called a moose claw.
Okay.
It's exactly what you think it is.
Wait, is it a weapon? What is it?
It's it's a moose mixed with the death claw.
Oh, I see. I got you. I was thinking like the death claw hand, like a big moose hand.
Like it's instead of a moose, it's instead of a death claw hand, it's just moose antlers.
Right. I was like, that's okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of open space, but within that open space, there's a lot of stuff that could be done. There's a lot of train routes. There's a lot of stuff that could be worked with,
and even the connection to Canada. Like you could have some storylines from what actually was going on with the whole.
You have to go
Canadian
up through
thing.
Glacier, and you have to go and find out what's going on in Canada.
Yeah, that can be cool. All right. So what's the name of the specifically?
Missoula,
Montana. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's open this up. Who has any thoughts about Missoula, Montana? Any other? We're talking like northern wilderness.
I'm pretty sure the Lonesome Drifter from New Vegas had mentioned he's from Montana. So it would be cool to have some sort of appearance of him and to learn a little more lore about him, because he's such a mysterious character in a way. Like, I feel like you don't totally know his story all the way. He knows the story, but I would like to know more about him. So it would be really cool to do it in Montana. And I feel like you could really lean into the cowboy thing in Montana.
Yeah.
Have like gula horses that you could ride, kind of like, in Oblivion.
Finally incorporate horses, the one thing they've been hinting at since the beginning.
Yeah, what if they're like Brahmin with two heads, like two-headed horses that you ride on?
Yeah, that would be sick.
We've also got buffalo.
Oh, yeah. Two-headed buffalo.
Yeah, bison. Buffalo. We call them bison here, but I'm pretty sure they're kind of the same.
I think buffalo is actually the wrong name. I might be wrong about this, but I think American bison is the actual name.
Yeah, that's
but people
the name,
call them buffalo.
People that call them buffalo.
Right. Yeah. So
we do have. So yeah, we have bison here, so that it would be like the Montana version of Brahmin, like how they had the bighorners in New Vegas.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of the bison and the moose, because I think it'd be fun to incorporate more of the megafauna into the games, as instead of, Montana is not a very highly populated state, so there'd be less ghouls and there'd be less super mutants. But I think it'd be fun to try to incorporate more creatures into it.
Yeah.
And I think that the moose and the bison would be very scary.
Actually, if you've ever been up, have you been up close to a moose before? They are gigantic.
You don't want to be.
They are huge. They are so big. I was on a ski trip years ago when I was in high school, and I think we were going up one of the lifts up into the mountain, and we looked down, and 50 feet away, there was a moose standing among the trees, and I was just like, oh my, that is huge. That thing, I'm full height male human, my head is not taller than the back of that creature. Like, holy moly. Yeah.
But yeah, there's even, we've even got our, own cryptid stories. We've got the flathead lake monster. And then there was this other one I don't remember. Then we've got our normal Bigfoot. But there's also a lot of Native American folklore and heritage here that could also be incorporated.
Yeah, that would be really cool. That'd be great.
And yeah, there's a lot to Montana that a lot of people don't know about. one of my favorite things are the fact that our motto is "Get Lost."
Get lost. Nice. I'm sure you could work that into a Fallout game or like a faction. Like one of the factions mottos is also the same motto. Like it's like a raider group or something.
Yeah. There's the lake, which there could be a boat system where you can get on a boat and use it to get on the islands or go fishing. And
yeah, that sounds like it has a lot of potential. This is a really cool idea. Anybody else have any thoughts about Montana? I guess we're wrapping this one up. All right. Oh, Maverick, go ahead.
At the very last minute, I'm sorry. I just had a thought.
Oh, you're good.
So going with Betty's idea of cowboys, because it's not very populated like we've already established. Why not have like the return of boom towns, like because as they said, it was used for mining and everything. Why not use boom towns, and then once that mining dries up, your character can run across abandoned towns along the way, and
like a second gold rush. I see what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
So, there's ghost towns. There's tons of them here.
Yeah.
I just had another thing. There's something. God, what was it? I just had it.
That's all right. If it comes back to you, let us know. Nova, did you want to chime in with something on this?
Yeah, I was going to say that it would be just first of all, it'd be very fun to actually be able to fish and Fallout. I will say that. But secondly, can you imagine the snow that you would get up there? Like seriously, that a season system?
Oh yeah, that would be really cool.
Understand?
Oh, like lakes freezing, or the mutated fish, the kinds of fish you would catch.
The amount of black ice and cars going off the roads.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be really cool.
So one thing that I think would be cool would be a sled system.
Yeah, and like sled dogs and stuff.
For winter anyway, because the second it comes, hits like May, it just disappears.
Yeah, what if dog meat's like the head of your sled dog group? That'd be great.
And with Montana and it having trade routes to from down Washington down to California, you could definitely get the NCR in there. Or I feel like it'd be too cold for the Legion.
Maybe they'd have to. Well, they're modeling the Romans, so it would be like the northern stretches of the Roman Empire where they had to like wear lots of furs and stuff. But
they need some longer skirts.
Yeah, long skirts, furs, all sorts of things.
Yeah, there's a lot that they could add. Brotherhood of Steel would be a big one. I know that they'd probably do. Well, that one's going to be in every game.
Yeah.
I would love to see just some French Canadian separatists though that are trying to invade.
So
that would be cool.
Even though Quebec is basically across the entire continent, I think it'd just be hilarious. There's like a little Quebec-y settlement, and the cities walk in, they just ram people going, "Ha ha."
So I did think about this with it be this would be like bordering Canada. You would be, if you go up towards that way, you'd find settlements of like what originally were Mounties, Canadian Mounties.
Mm-hmm.
I think would be a really cool one.
Yeah. There's a lot of flavor stuff you could pull.
And with the Expanse, it's kind of something like how West Virginia is. You're gonna see a lot of fire towers, ranger stations. You're gonna see a lot of that, which I feel like again would be a perfect addition.
Yeah, that all makes a lot of sense. All right, well, we've got to move on. Nova, do you have something else?
The best part about this is we can actually finally get some Canadian lore as to how average Canadians felt.
Right.
Because that's been something that's been, it's a huge part of the Fallout mythos is, it's little America, but then we never hear of anything Canada except for what we think is Toronto in the pit.
Yeah, there's really not a whole lot there to go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. All right. Tell you what, we're going to take a quick break and thank our patrons, you guys, and everybody else who helps support the show. And we'll be back in just a minute to hear some more thoughts about different locations that we could go to. So be ready to chime in when we get back. Here we go. It's time for that spring reset. I'm taking a look at everything in my closet and figuring out that, oh no, this absolutely needs to go. And it's about time I replace things so that my clothes aren't older than my 15-year-old. Now you might think that they lasted that long because they were well made, but no, they're in terrible condition. Unlike the new jeans I just got from Quince. Jeans have always been my personal go-to because you can kind of wear them for lots of different things, but maybe they're not your thing. Maybe you're looking for, 100% European linen with insanely soft flow knit activewear fabric. It's definitely getting warmer, and their flow knit activewear is moisture wicking, anti-odor, and soft enough that you'll actually want to wear it every day. So pick out what you want. You can't go wrong because they have prices 50 to 60% less than similar brands. And like I said before, they are high quality. I continue to wear their clothes all the time, and I know that these new jeans are going to last me a lot better than the other things in my wardrobe. And on top of it, they look great. They're so comfortable, and I spent just as much on the jeans that I am now cleaning out of my wardrobe. So if you're looking for something better, just all around better, go check out Quince. So go do it right now. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/falloutlore for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. Go to quince.com/falloutlore for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/falloutlore.
Hello there, old chap. Good to see another of General Atomic's finest, still eager to serve.
All right, here we are in the middle of the show, and we don't have any new patrons to shout out from the last week, but we do have our regular patrons, our Sentry Bots, our Tier 5 patrons who get shout-outs every week, including Germinator, Mark Cates, and Sky Rhodes. Thank you so much for your support. And we do have some new reviews here that came in. I'm gonna pick two of them real quick to read. These are on Apple Podcasts, and if you leave a 5-star review, then you're going to get it read out in a future episode. This one's from White Demon 6 in the US, who writes, "Vaultastic, excellent work on this podcast and bringing the fans together. I wrote a longer review and sent it in an email. I look forward to hearing what comes next." I'm sure I saw that somewhere and at some point read it, and now it's just lost in a whole pile of emails. I appreciate it. I'll see if I can dig that back up in the future and actually read through the longer version. But I appreciate you taking the time to do that. So thank you so much. And then we have one from Quadrispree. I think I'm pronouncing that right, from the US, who writes, "Absolutely incredible podcast. I must say, this podcast had me hooked from day one. I've been listening for about a year and I couldn't find out how to leave a review. LOL. But finally, I absolutely love this podcast. The way Tom goes through the lore in an extremely informative way, yet not overwhelming. Overall, this podcast is a great listen for any Fallout fans. So thank you so much for your taking the time to do that. It helps the show a ton to get these reviews. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for all of your support. Everybody here, all of our patrons. We're currently at 71 patrons. So thank you to all of you. And if you are interested in checking out what you can get from helping support on the Patreon, patreon.com/Fallout Lorecast is the place you can do it. All right, let's move on with the rest of the show.
If you have any questions about Nuka World, I'd be delighted to answer them.
All right, we're back. Who's ready to go take us to another location? Where are we going now? Slocum Bro, which, by the way, is a great name.
Thank you. So kind of going off what Pumpkin King was talking about, I was thinking South Dakota. So it may be better just to do like a northern plains instead of like a specific state. But the main reason I was thinking that is, so like the main message of Fallout is like the danger of capitalism and materialism when it's like, left unchecked. So I thought like maybe, and also what I liked about Fallout 4 was how it looked at like the American Revolution. So I thought working in like the Native American history in the United States would be a cool next step. I feel like South Dakota would be a good state just because it was one of the more recent conflicts, or it was one of the later conflicts.
Between Native Americans and the U.S. government specifically. Correct. Yeah. Like
with the Custer's Last Stand, it was in Montana, but a lot of it was Lakota from South Dakota. It has a lot of like really recognizable places like Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse. And also with like the Badlands, there's a lot of diverse geography. So kind of like how 76 worked out pretty well. I feel like having that, plus we can bring in snow, kind of like what he was talking about too. And I was actually able to go to the Black Hills about 2 years ago. And I don't know, just kind of fell in love with the place.
Yeah, I've never been up there. The company I used to work for actually was a marketing agency, and they did work for a university in South Dakota. And so some of my coworkers got to go. So I saw pictures and things, but I've never actually been to South Dakota. But I imagine, it is probably one of the least populated state in the United States, I believe. It's one of the two, maybe.
So I'm pretty sure it's Montana's the least populated.
Okay, but it's
North Dakota, I think, comes up close.
Yeah, North Dakota and then South Dakota. Like both of those are very like the popular, or maybe it's least densely popular. It's low on that list, right? So you're going to end up with lots of open land and the whole like the pieces of history that you're talking about, a lot more Native American stuff, which would be really cool. Like anytime you bring in cultures and you can like really focus on like in doing in a very respectful way, showing more about those cultures and those kinds of things, that's also really, really cool. So I like the idea for that too.
And like I was kind of talking to my wife about the idea, and we definitely need they would need to bring in Native American consultants just to make sure it was being done accurately and respectfully.
Absolutely. Did you see that there was a post online somewhere where somebody was like complaining about like Mexican stuff in Mario games, and then the next person who responded was like, so by the way, Mexican here, we love it when our stuff shows up in games. Please keep doing this. Thanks. If you do it respectfully, then there's nothing wrong with it, show it off respectfully. Absolutely.
I feel like that's kind of an untapped area for the Fallout franchise. We were in Mexico last year, and there's a Native American artist who was doing futuristic versions of the typical Native motifs, and it kind of gave me some Fallout vibes. But I feel like they could work in trains, and horses would be a nice introduction to transportation in the Fallout franchise. I feel like that's more controllable than cars or something like that.
Yeah, you could have a settlement system with railways connecting everything.
Yeah,
that could be cool. All right, let's open this up. What do you guys think about South Dakota? Any other thoughts on this one?
I do really like that, especially since it's it's the same thing as kind of like Montana. It's got the the openness. Love that, and you could do the fishing, that's all that stuff, and again horses, almost kind of like the Wild West almost, but it's more further along.
Yeah, and probably less likely to have been bombed. Like large swaths of that land is probably still pristine, at least as much as it could be, having survived nuclear fallout everywhere else. But I can imagine lots of actual forest land and things like that. Cool stuff.
And that's what I liked about 76 is he had those spots that were still kind of gave me Skyrim vibes, whereas and there were still bombed areas too, just to keep you in the world, but at the same time, it's nice to have that kind of break.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts on this one? Lil, I see that you're unmuted. Did you want to chime in?
Oh, it's just one quick thing. If it's South Dakota, I just want to be able to build a camp or settlement on top of Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, that would be, or to carve out another.
That's what I want to
do. What if there's a different? What if? What if it's
like a national treasure and there's a room inside the head?
Yeah, but there's a room inside the head. Or what if there's a President Eden face on Mount Rushmore or something?
Yeah,
he stole my idea.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. We didn't know it all this time, and now we're finally there. And look who's on the Mount Rushmore.
What if it's Richards, President Richards?
Right, it could be President Richards. It could be any of the douchebags who took control at some point and thought they would put their face on a mountain.
It would be nice if we're playing with the environmental storytelling, and they have lookouts normally for civilians. They have a bunch of rocket launchers or mini nukes just that are emptied and scattered, and one of the faces is just partially destroyed.
There's lots of pock marks from explosives on the face.
Pock marks. People are just trying to blow it out because no one likes the presidents.
Sorry, you mentioning this made me think of a Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs thing where it was 3 of the faces get hit from the front, but Lincoln gets it from the back.
Oh no! Oh, too soon. No,
Almost 100. It's been well over 100 years.
150 years. Too soon?
It's been like 160 years.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty good at this point. But at the same time, though, that poor. Didn't have to do him that dirty though. It was a wiener to the back of the head. Nobody deserves that.
Oh no!
It was a cream pie.
Oh, well, yeah, but yeah. Okay, all right. Well, on that note,
I have
Maverick,
something to
go
put
ahead.
down. Wall Drug, South Dakota.
Wall Drug South. Okay, so what is this?
Wall Drug, South Dakota is a big old long drugstore that it's a tourist destination. It's a huge tourist trap. It's basically like a huge drugstore that's like a whole town.
Oh man! So it's like one of those like places
it's like
road stop
so
places.
it's like Buc-ee's.
It's an older version. It's an older type version of Buc-ee's. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, I was thinking we actually stopped there, and I was thinking it could be like the new White Spring, kind of from '76.
Oh, dude, and if it's a drugstore, so they could have all sorts of different types of chems and things.
Welcome to Psycho Mart.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Silas, did you want to say something?
I was thinking it'd be a really good idea, just with the indigenous representation that he had brought up. I think that'd be a great idea as long as it's done respectfully. And then with the Mount Rushmore, with how, I don't want to say cartoony, but how cartoony Fallout can be sometimes. I think it'd be really funny if, along the lines of a Silver Shroud type of thing, where there's this villain who his entire thing is that he just wants to blow up Mount Rushmore, and you play as like this hero trying to stop the cartoony villain from doing the typical type of thing. I think it's something with him exactly,
like,
and I
yeah,
think it's with
twirling his mustache and like tying people to railroads, and like he gets old dynamite in order to do it, like sticks of dynamite he's been hoarding. Yeah,
I think it's within the realm of Fallout goofiness that I don't think it'd completely break the immersion.
Yeah, I could totally see that as being a thing, or a character who plays a character from one of the comics that we didn't have, hasn't been revealed before, and it's like this like mustache twirly villain. Yeah, totally. I could see that. Man, this conversation, these ideas have been so good. The conversation just keeps going and going, and we only have so much time for the episode. How would you guys feel about doing maybe one more and then saving the rest of the ideas for like the next episode so we can give everything more time? Because then like the ideas are just so good. I don't want to shortcut anything too much. So we cool with that? All right. So who would like to wrap up this episode for us? I've got Spartan here, AK Spartan, with our finale idea for this time, and then we'll follow up on this again next time.
Yeah, so first of all, I thought more of a region, just because future Fallout games, I mean, we're thinking so far ahead of the scope's probably going to be huge. And so I was thinking it'd be really cool, and I've actually been thinking this even more, going along with what everybody's been saying with some of these other ideas. Fallout Great Lakes would be super cool. I had thought the way I would think of it is it would pretty much cover, I think you could include, if we're talking down the line, you could probably do from Detroit to about Cleveland and have Toledo in between. That's about a couple hours drive. You have the islands right there on the lakes. You could do stuff with Canada, the monument for Perry's monument for the Battle of Lake Erie on one of the islands there. There's a lot of music culture in both cities that you could tap into, with Detroit with the Motown stuff and Cleveland with the Rock Hall. And I think like Cleveland, especially, like you have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is both like, that'd be really cool to run through as like a broken down area, finding Easter eggs and stuff. Or like there's West Side Market, which is it's a massive indoor like market, like for foods from all over the world, that was built in 1912. I just think there's a lot of cool stuff in those areas, and you could connect it, especially with the lakes right there, you could connect it to Canada. Detroit is a very short drive from the Canadian border. And I think, I don't know if that would be too big or not, but like, I definitely think Cleveland would be very cool, or Detroit. But I think a Fallout Great Lakes just in that whole region, you could have the fishing too, because the lakes right there. I mean, that was something else I thought of. But that's just where I was thinking, is especially, I don't know as much about Detroit because I live in Michigan now, but I'm from about 40 minutes south of Cleveland, which is why I thought of this. I love Cleveland. And so I don't have as much to say about Detroit, although I do think it'd be very cool. But I think Cleveland especially would be in a Fallout Great Lakes, maybe having that be where you end up would be very cool.
Yeah, I mean, you could focus in on one area, and then like a place like Detroit could be kind of like a DLC zone that you go out to, or they could consolidate the area like they did with 76. You've got Appalachia, where all of those cities are actually fairly far apart, and they've kind of consolidated. Did I just say that? Into a map that's 4 times the size of Fallout 4. So you could kind of shrink it a little bit in order to have like the different cities on different ends of the map, right? But you could also integrate. I mean, they have a ship system they built. It's spaceships in Starfield, but it shouldn't be that hard to turn those into actual water ships, and then having like seafaring stuff going on in the Great Lakes between the cities as like a transport thing, and then maybe raiders or are like pirates out in the middle of these big seas, like the big lakes. So yeah, I could see that stuff too. And then you also have Detroit with the manufacturing, all the auto manufacturers, and the history of what has happened with them over time, and a lot of technology and things there potentially that could be used for, maybe it went from auto manufacturing to robot manufacturing and that kind of stuff. And then now you've got more of that stuff going on. So yeah, I think this could be a really cool idea.
Yeah. And I just want to throw in too, I did forget to mention, Ohio has a ridiculous amount of cryptid related stuff. There's great cryptid stuff in Ohio. There's pretty much every county has some type of story. I looked up a list just to try to get, because there's Mothman stuff in Southern Ohio. But there's some of these I hadn't even heard of. One, the Dogman of Defiance, which was apparently a werewolf-like creature that was terrorizing a county in the 70s.
That's great.
But I thought of that too, especially with how 76 dives into with the cryptid stuff. That there's a lot of that at least in Ohio.
Yeah, I would hope that that's an element that they're going to carry forward in the other games as they continue to make new Fallout games. I think that would be great. All right, I want to hear from some of you who haven't had the chance to really chime in too much, who hasn't had a lot of time to talk but wants to say something. Anybody? If you're totally happy just kind of hanging out and being part of this anyway, I'm happy if you're happy. But if you want to say something you haven't had a chance to talk too much, feel free to chime in. Maverick, I see that you're unmuted. Would you like to go?
Yes, as the resident Great Laker around here, I'd like to say that this would be a great idea, to be honest, because Canada is closer to Detroit than you actually think. Like literally, it's right there.
It's right there. It's right over there.
Literally right there. You gotta go over a bridge or 2 bridges, but it's right there. But yeah, I think it's a great idea because of all the water and all that. Even though I'm not ever since Fallout 4 and everything, since they've moved inland from Fallout 4, I've been like, do more than water, do more than harbor stuff. But in this instance, I'll give it a pass because it's my home state, my home region, because it's Lake Huron and Lake Erie. Yeah, Erie. I think for a minute there. My Great Lakes. There's Michigan, Superior, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. But yeah, no, and there are a bunch of different cryptids in Michigan also, along with Ohio,
and maybe even some Canadian ones. We can get Canadian cryptids like encroaching in from the north.
Mm-hmm.
That could be fun.
And then the bridge down in southern Ohio is the bridge that they blew up in 76.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I like how all this stuff connects. That's cool. That's cool. All right, who else has some thoughts on this one? Pumpkin?
So one thing I think would be a good addition as well is with the amount of shipwrecks that have happened in those lakes.
Yeah.
I could easily see them doing like a ghost ship storyline.
Oh, that would be so cool.
And I feel like that would be incredibly awesome.
Like the mist comes in, kind of like in Far Harbor.
It wouldn't be the first time that there would have been ghosts in the series.
Sure, absolutely.
So I think that would be awesome. An entire ghost ship. Either it could be like, an encounter, just an Easter egg, just I want a ghost ship.
Yeah. I think that's a cool idea. I would love more ghost stuff too. As much as I'm a skeptic in like real world, like real life, I love like creepy, weird stuff, especially when it's in a game. Like that's just fun. Any other thoughts on this one? Anybody else want to chime in? I think this might be done. I think we're done with thoughts on this one. All right. These are some really fun locations. I think we kind of have a theme here. We want a little bit more in like rural areas with rural stuff. We want a lot more like old culture stuff or Native American culture stuff or Canadian stuff kind of mixing in some and some lesser known locations that also have really interesting history. That seems to be where the theme is going. So if anybody's listening at Bethesda, here's some ideas for you. We came up with some. Maybe you can incorporate. Wouldn't that be crazy if they took one of these ideas and then they incorporated everybody's names as like NPCs in the game? That would be amazing. It's just random people you come across. That would be so cool. A boy can dream, but we have to wrap up the episode. It's time to wrap this up. So I'm so thankful for you being here and joining me. These chats are always the best thing of my month. So thanks for being here. We're going to go through everybody. And if you have something you want to shout out, feel free to do that. Otherwise, just, thanks for being here and being a part of this. Let's start with Lil Green. We're going to go through the screen from my view. Lil Green?
Since I got my new camera, I'm going to be trying to push out more of my photography business. So if you want to check out what I'm doing, you could always look me up on Instagram at lilgreen_photography. Or if you, for some reason want to ask me questions about anything I do, just reach out to me on the Discord and I'll eventually see it. I check it a couple times a day.
Or the meaning of
really
life in the universe or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody should send Lil Green a question about the nature of reality and the meaning of life.
Oh, God.
That would be great.
That'd be an interesting day.
Why is everybody sending me these questions? What is going on? El Gato Pub is also rating us. Thank you for the raid. Welcome to the show, everybody. We're actually wrapping up the show, but thank you for the raid. Let's move on to AK. Thank you, Lil Green, for being here. AK Spartan, thanks for joining us. You got anything you want to shout out?
Nothing to promote per se. I'm on the Discord, AK Spartan. I've been playing a lot of Remnant 2 and Diablo 4. So if anybody wants to play those, I'm on the Discord, but I don't really have anything to promote per se. I'm in the guild for ESO too. So you can find me there, but I'm really just hanging out and playing games and such. But other than that, nothing really to promote.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely hit people up on and there's channels where you can just be like, hey, I'm playing a game. Anybody want to join me? And then who knows, you might find people to get together with. So awesome. Thanks for being here. Silas, you got anything to shout out?
Not necessarily. I just finished my first unmodded Fallout 4 playthrough just last week. I managed to get all the achievements in one playthrough by saving and then loading back to previous saves.
Save scumming it, but nice. That's huge. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but I'd played it since it came out, and I realized I've never gotten any of the achievements because I immediately just put down mods. So I decided to make that a run, and I had a great time with it. But other than that, nothing really going on.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here and congratulations. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, Adam, Bonnie Baby.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. You got anything you want to shout out?
I'm just still doing my usual. I'm having it's like 3:00 in the morning here. So I'm ready for bed.
All right. Well, thank you for staying up late with us.
I'm on Tumblr doing some screenshot things. I'm getting into like digital art again, so I'm doing some random stuff over there. So.
Very cool. Well, thanks for staying up late and for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, Maverick, I know you got stuff.
Oh, do I? since we've last talked, my man. Since we last talked, the Fallout Roundtable, the show that I host with 4 other people, which is on the Robots Radio Network or the Robot Rocket Club, is hit 52 weeks ago, and we just released episode 52 Monday. Yeah, Monday. And if you want to follow us, because I don't have Twitter personally, or whatever it's called now, you can just follow the Twitter at FalloutRTB, or you can send us an email, falloutrtb@gmail.com, or if you want to listen to our show, you can go on to Spotify. We're on most major platforms. Fallout Roundtable, it's us if it's a brown logo. We also have a YouTube channel, also under the same name, with the same logo as our Spotify.
Imagine that. There. It's all branded. That's crazy.
Yeah. Then if you want to contact me personally, you can just hit me up on Discord. I'll look at it eventually when I'm not busy.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you made it back to another episode. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
All right. Slocum Bro, you got anything to shout out?
Just been working, unpacking, and making home repairs. But I have been listening to your Lord of the Rings Lorecast while doing all of it, and it's made it much more enjoyable. So just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Well, I'm glad I can help you get through all of that with podcasts. The magic of podcasts. All right. Betty Butcher, thanks for joining us.
Hey, I'm new to this whole Patreon Discord thing, so thanks for having me. Not really up to much, but I do listen to this podcast a lot when I'm working. I'm a pastry chef, and I work early in the morning, and I have the kitchen to myself. So,
oh wow, that's great.
On, yeah, I just listen to this podcast and then wait to go home so I can go play some video games.
That's so cool. My wife and I like to watch these like baking shows and stuff. And the other day one was on, and I was like, I walked through the room, and I was like, I had to come over here to do stuff because I was working, and I was like, it's a good thing I'm not a chef or a baker, because I'd be like 500 pounds. Like, I don't know how people do this without just eating everything. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. So that's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Scarecrow, you got something to shout out?
Not really, just kind of hanging out.
Well, that's cool. Well, I'm glad you decided to join us. All right, well, that's it for Scarecrow. Thanks for being here, Scarecrow. Nova, I know you've got some stuff.
Hello, and if it would unmute, I do have some stuff.
There you are.
Yeah, just going through life, trying to make working on a lot of YouTube scripts right now with my for my YouTube channel, Nova or Supernova, in capital N, 0, capital V, capital A. Look for the golden retriever icon. I just can't seem to find an actual script that I can stay attached to, because as we discussed before, like many months ago, as you continue to go on with writing the same exact thing, you begin to think, this is getting boring. Let's try something else. So that's my current problem. Besides that, I'm working all the time, but I always have my phone by my side because I'm my own boss and I can't get yelled at. So if anyone ever wants to contact me, just send me a message on Discord. I do have a Twitter, but I hardly ever post on there. So don't even try.
Yeah. For whatever Twitter is anymore. Cool, man.
X.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're able to knock out some more scripts and get some more stuff posted.
Yeah. I currently have one I'm working on that's about the entire NCR Legion War, which I've been working on for just about a year now.
Wow.
I did most of it, put it down for a while, came back to it recently, and I'm getting through it. So hopefully within the next week or so, I should have that video up, which will be like an hour long.
Yeah. Well, keep your head down. You'll get through it. All right, dude.
I'm hoping.
Well, thanks for joining us again.
Right.
And then
it's always a pleasure.
Yeah. And then we got Pumpkin King wrapping this up. Pumpkin King.
You can always find me on the Discord if you ever want to talk, or if you want to ask if I want to play. I play mainly on PlayStation. If you can follow me on my Twitter, it's the Pumpkin King with the E being a 3 and both I's being 1s. So you can always hit me up there. I do want to try and post more cosplays, but it's been killer heat. So
It's tough to wear things when it's hot.
Yeah. But yeah,
a lot of
if
stuff.
if you ever just want to talk, you can hit me up on any of them.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. And then so much, just genuinely, everybody, thank you for supporting the show and for being here and making this a thing. I know I say this all the time, but I couldn't do this without all of you. And this show specifically has changed my life and allowed me to do things that I enjoy doing for a living. And that really has made a difference for me. So thank you for being here. All of you, all of our listeners, all of everybody who has even mentioned this to their friends or done even the slightest thing to help promote the show. Thank you so very, very much. All right, that's going to do it for this week. And I'll be back next week with a regular episode. And until then, stay safe out there in whatever part of the world you're in, whatever location you are. Hopefully we don't have to live in a Fallout wasteland, but you never know. That was really dark. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody. To plug into everything else we're doing, check out robotsradio.net. Reach out to me on Twitter at robots_radio. Check out the Robots Radio Rocket Club, where you can join me and a bunch of our other creators creating your podcast, starting a new podcast, or helping your current podcast grow. There's more information about that on robotsradio.net as well. And you can always talk with us and the entire community, over 2,000 people on the Robots Radio Discord. Come join us. We'd love to chat with you. See you guys next time.